Elite Facts presents
10 highest grossing films of all time. Films have been a pretty big thing as of late. It's crazy to think of how Hollywood has evolved over the last 30 years as effects keep on getting better and better, and the stories keep getting more unoriginal and unoriginal. Seriously though, films today have only gotten better and better, and it shows with each film's staggering box office take. And just so this list isn't filled with 50 Marvel films, we'll only be including one film per franchise. Here's 10 of the highest grossing films of all time, not adjusted for inflation.
10.
Avatar. Hey, facts are facts. Sure, the film itself was pretty standard, but you can't argue with its success. Directed by James Cameron, Avatar started its development in 1994 when Cameron wrote the first 80 pages for the film. The film wouldn't see production, however, until January of 2006. The film's budget was $297 million, and it really shows, as the film's effects and CGI are outstanding. So amazing, in fact, that no other film has been able to create a world that looks as beautiful as the one presented in this world. The film was released on December 17, 2008, and raked in an astonishing $2.788 billion. Yeah, feel free to insult the film for its lackluster story, but there's no way you can insult the film's monetary success.
9.
Titanic. It's safe to say that James Cameron has cemented his legacy as one of the greatest writers and directors of all time. Before you hound us, yes, we didn't include him on our top 10 influential directors of all time list, but believe us, we were close to adding him. And hey, he's certainly earned that status because he was able to take the top 2 spots for films with the highest box office record. Titanic held that record for over 10 years with a staggering box office take of $2.817 billion. The film itself was made on a budget of $200 million, which by 1997 standards was a ludicrous amount to use for a film's budget. Needless to say, though, the risk of spending that much cash paid off.
8.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Star Wars made its triumphant return to the big screen last December. The film was praised for bringing Star Wars back to its roots, while at the same time giving the series a breath of fresh air. Sure, there are moments that feel a lot like fan service, but the film is great. It most certainly made up for the prequel trilogy that came before it. How good was it, though? Well, the film was able to rake in a massive $2.068 billion at the box office, on a budget of $245 million. We're going to make a bold prediction here and predict that Rogue One could possibly top The Force Awakens at the box office. We'll have to just wait and see.
7.
Jurassic World. Yet another franchise that was essentially raised from the dead. Jurassic World, without a doubt, made up for the previous 2 sequels by giving everyone what they wanted: dinosaur freaking carnage. Sure, the story has tons of plot holes, and maybe it focuses a little too much on the human characters, but when they show dinosaurs wreaking havoc, oh boy, is it glorious. And the film managed to rake in a monstrous $1.67 billion at the box office, on a budget of only $150 million. Because of this impressive showing at the box office, we're guaranteed to see Jurassic World 2.
6.
The Avengers. Where do we begin? So alone, this film was awesome. Even with all the build-up they created over 5 individual films over the course of 4 years, it still lived up to everyone's expectations. And it's incredibly rare to find anyone who didn't like this film. But hey, to each their own. The film was made on a budget of $220 million and raked in a massive $1.52 billion at the box office. This alone makes up over half of the first 4 cinematic universe film box office revenues combined. That is impressive.
5.
Fast and Furious 7, or simply known as Furious 7. Okay, alright, seriously, calm down in the comments. The title does vary in regions, give us a break. It's safe to say that before the release of Fast and Furious 5, everyone was getting burnt out on the series. Yes, watching the race scenes is fun, but there's only so many times you can do that. The storylines behind each film began having less and less meaning. When Fast 5 came around, however, they changed everything up by turning a simple racing film into a heist series, with elements of street racing added in. Hell, Fast and Furious 6 even ended up making Tokyo Drift a much better film, thanks to its after-credits scene. Seriously, these films have turned into something more than just simple race films. And they must be doing something right, as the latest installment, Fast and Furious 7, raked in a surprising $1.516 billion at the box office. Who would have thought this series could be capable of a feat like that?
4,
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Harry Potter is arguably the new Star Wars. No, we're not talking about themes, obviously, but we're talking about the following this series has gained since the original film's release. Sure, the books were out for 10 years before the first film was released, but the book series never had any real mainstream exposure until the first film came out. Since 2001, we've seen 8 films released over the course of 10 years, with each film earning upwards of $1 billion. There's no denying that this franchise is a juggernaut like Star Wars. When the final film was released, everyone went to see it. Like, we don't think a single person missed this film in cinemas, because the film raked in $1.342 billion. They certainly closed the series with a bang, that's for sure.
3,
Frozen. Parents across the world are probably cringing at this right now. Yes, Frozen pretty much took the world by storm over the last 2 years, and the craze hasn't shown any signs of dying down. The film itself was well reviewed by critics and was loved by families and kids across the globe. So much so that they simply wouldn't stop singing that bloody song. You know exactly the song we're talking about. Don't make me sing it. Regardless, the film's success showed, as it managed to earn a staggering $1.287 billion at the box office. Parents be warned, Frozen 2 is coming, so we suggest you prepare yourselves with some earphones for around the house to block out the guaranteed musical numbers that will accompany it. Trust us.
2,
Minions. Okay, so if parents were cringing at hearing about the film Frozen, we know for a fact that everyone will be cringing at hearing the little minions. Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2 were decent films. There's no denying the film series has a fan base. However, you know you're doing something wrong when even the fans of the first 2 films hate this one. But even though it wasn't well received by the audience the film was targeted at, it was still a box office success, as it managed to earn an impressive $1.159 billion at the box office. Because of this, we don't think we'll be seeing the end of the Minions anytime soon. Something tells us we should have allowed more than one film per franchise on this list now.
1,
Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Well, we've certainly ended on a low note, but facts are facts. Transformers: Dark of the Moon is up there as one of the highest grossing films of all time. It makes no sense considering everyone knows that the Transformers films are okay at best, and the fact that everyone knows Michael Bay's track record when it comes to adapting films from 1980s nostalgia. This film isn't the worst in the series, but it's still nothing near great. But how does that honestly explain the $1.124 billion the film was able to rake in? That is insane. We think the reason these films do so well is simply for the nostalgia they bring. Sure, the parts when the humans are on screen really suck, but when the Transformers are on the screen doing what they do best, it's admittedly awesome.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.